It started with something small. Isn't that always how it goes? My dad asked me to take his truck in for an oil change while he was out of town on business. I had the day off, so I said sure. The truck's a beat-up red Tacoma, smells like old receipts, dust, and pine air fresheners. He's had it for over a decade. I basically learned to drive in that thing. As I was pulling out of the driveway, I reached into the cup holder for a mint. He always keeps a few. But instead, I felt metal. I pulled it out and saw a ring. A simple gold band. Small. Clearly for a woman. No stone, no engraving. Just there. At first, I thought it was my mom's. But that didn't make sense. My parents have been together for 35 years. I've never once seen my mom wear a wedding ring. They used to joke about it. My dad always said we don't need jewelry to prove anything. She'd laugh and call it his rebel thing. They were that kind of couple, offbeat but tight. So why was there a woman's wedding ring in his truck? I turned it over in my hand, waiting for something to click, a memory, a logical explanation, something. Nothing came. When I got to the shop, I tossed it back in the cup holder like it might disappear if I stopped looking at it. That night, I asked my mom casually if she ever wore a ring when they were younger. She shook her head. Not once. Why? I just shrugged. Curious. I didn't sleep well. It wasn't that the ring screamed affair. It's that it didn't belong. It wasn't supposed to be there. It was too deliberate, too out of place. And I knew deep down this wasn't nothing. I just didn't know yet how deep it went. I tried to forget about the ring. I really did. For a few days, I convinced myself it had to be a mistake. Maybe my dad was holding it for someone. Maybe it belonged to a friend's wife. Maybe he found it in a parking lot. There were dozens of explanations that could have made sense if I wanted them to. But that's the problem when something doesn't fit, it doesn't leave you alone. The truck was still at my place, waiting for him to get back. On the third day, I found myself sitting in the driver's seat again, not going anywhere. Just looking. Like the answer might be hiding in plain sight. That's when I flipped the sun visor down. I wasn't looking for anything. I just did it instinct, maybe. And that's when a folded receipt slipped out and landed on my lap. I almost threw it away. But something told me not to. It was from a jewelry store. Not a chain, a small place in a different town. Not far, but far enough that you wouldn't go there by accident. The receipt was 4 months old. The purchase? Custom ring resizing women's band, size 6.5. The same size as the one I'd found. My stomach dropped. This wasn't random. This wasn't something he stumbled across. He had it resized. For someone. Not my mom. There was a name scribbled at the top under the store logo. Faded pen ink. It said, to be picked up by M.R. My dad's initials. So now I had two things. A ring. Proof that he went out of his way to get it fitted. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even text my sister, and we tell each other everything. I just kept it. That night, when my dad got back and picked up the truck, he smiled like nothing had changed. Asked how the oil change went. Thanked me. Told me he'd bring by pizza next week. I nodded. Said, no problem. But all I could think about was that damn ring. And the fact that it fit someone. Just not my mother. I don't know what I was hoping to find. Maybe that it was all in my head. That the receipt was a fluke, the ring a one-off. Maybe I just wanted a reason to stop thinking about it. But instead, I found something that made it impossible to forget. I started with the jewelry store. I looked them up online. Small place, mostly local, no website, just a Facebook page. But they did have a few posts with customer thank yous, birthday shoutouts, and the usual congrats to our happy couples. I scrolled through. And then I saw it. A picture posted about 6 months ago. A smiling woman, maybe late 40s, holding a small velvet box in one hand, her other hand on the shoulder of a teenage girl. The caption read, "So happy to finally see this one smiling again. Congrats, Renee." I froze. Renee. Same last name as me. Not a super common one, either. I clicked the tag. Her full name appeared, Renee Robbins. Robbins? My last name. My dad's last name. A name I'd only ever known as belonging to us. I thought maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe a cousin I didn't know. But something about it felt wrong. The girl in the photo looked about 15 or 16. Hazel eyes? My dad has hazel eyes. I pulled up public records. Don't ask me how, I work in IT and digging is a skill. Found a property listed under Michael Robbins and Renee W. Robbins. Same initials from the receipt. House was 40 minutes from ours. A rental. Month-to-month lease. Hit me like ice. He wasn't cheating. He was living two lives. This wasn't a fling. This was a second reality. A second family. And I was standing outside of it. watching it unfold like a stranger to my own blood. I didn't confront him right away. I sat with it for 2 days. 2 days of walking around like a passenger in my own body. Every time I saw my mom, I wanted to scream. Every time I got a text from Dad, casual stuff like, "You catch the game?" Or, "Mom said you need her Wi-Fi password again." I felt sick, but I waited. Then I asked him to get coffee. Just us. Saturday morning. A quiet spot we'd gone to 100 times before. He showed up 5 minutes early. That was always his thing: be early, be present, be reliable. I hated how normal he looked. Like someone who hadn't been carrying this lie for who knows how long. We ordered, sat down, talked about nothing for a few minutes. Then I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out the ring. Set it down on the table between us. His face didn't change. He just looked at it. Then at me. I didn't yell. Didn't ask, "How could you?" I just said, "How long have you been married to her?" He was quiet for so long. I thought maybe he'd pretend not to know who I meant. But then he said, 21 years. I was 28. He nodded like he saw the math hit me. "I met your mom before I met Renee," he said. "I never left her. But I never left your mom either." I couldn't speak. "She doesn't know," he added. "Neither of them do." I stared at him. "So what do you want me to do with this?" He looked me in the eye and said something I'll never forget. "What would you do if your own father asked you not to break your mother's heart?" And just like that, the responsibility was mine. He put the weight of both lives in my lap. I left without answering. I still haven't told my mom. I don't know if I ever will. Some truths don't set you free. They just make you part of the lie.